In this week's Torah portion of Chukat, Book of Numbers, chapter 20, Miriam dies. And the well that had been miraculously providing water in her merit for the prior 40 years of wandering in the desert dries up. The people complain. They're thirsty. And God tells Moshe, go get your staff, but speak to a certain rock and water will flow forth. So Moshe and Aaron, his brother, gather the entire people together. They stand in front of the rock, but instead of speaking to it, after upbraiding the people for their rebelliousness, Moshe picks up his staff and he hits the rock. And then as if for punctuation or emphasis, he takes his staff and he hits it again. And water starts flowing. But then God tells Moshe and Aaron, because you didn't sanctify my name, you're not going to be able to go into the promised land. They get punished. And the commentators for years have been grappling with trying to answer the question of just what was it that Moshe did wrong. And so some say it's simple. Look at the text. God told them, talk to the rock. Instead, he hit the rock. And I've always found that unsatisfying. Because Moshe had made a career out of not just listening to God's commands, but fulfilling every single iota of every command, dotting every I, crossing every T. So why now would he so brazenly and obviously and publicly flout a command by hitting the rock instead of speaking to it? So I heard an explanation once that makes a lot more sense to me. If you look at all of the complaints of the Jews in the desert and all of their misdeeds, they follow a common theme. The golden calf, the spies, the desire for meat and cucumbers instead of manna from heaven. They're screaming out, we don't want a miraculous existence. When Moshe leads, it's all miracles, manna from heaven, a cloud over them providing San Diego weather every day, a well giving them water miraculously. We don't want that. They build a golden calf, signifying to God, we want a more physical relationship. They want to send spies into the land because they want to conquer Israel militarily, tactically, strategically, not miraculously. They want meat. They want cucumbers, regular food, not manna coming down from heaven. And so now, at the end of the 40 years, when it's time to finally go into the promised land, Moshe is telling them, as painful as it is for him, I know what you want. I know you don't want me to lead because my leadership is miraculous. I know you want a physical relationship. You don't feel you could hold yourselves up to the exacting standards that miracles demand. Or maybe you feel your children won't be able to hold themselves to those types of scrupulous standards. So I'm going to give you what you want. I'm going to hit the rock instead of talking to it. So he doesn't get punished for a sin. It's a natural consequence of something that he knows he's doing in order to send a message. And what's even more painful is that we keep hitting the rock over and over again, twice, just like Moshe did. When things are going well, we're so quick to congratulate ourselves. It was our talent and our ingenuity and our perseverance and our taking advantage of that lucky break, and that's what did it. God, maybe we remember him, maybe we don't, and if we remember him, yeah, and of course, God too, thank God. But it, of course, was really me. We smugly think. That's hitting the rock, ascribing our successes to physicality, to nature, to chance. And then we hit it again. Because when things go bad, now all of a sudden, suddenly we remember God. Why did God do that to me? It's not just. How could he let that happen? How could bad things happen to good people? And why do good things happen to bad people? Now suddenly we have a claim against God. Man hauls God down into the courtroom of man instead of God hauling man up into the courtroom of God. And if we'd stop hitting the rock those 2 times, if we take off the blinders and see God in our lives when there are successes, and I don't care how boring or humdrum or prosaic your life is, and I hope it isn't, but if you open your eyes, you're going to see God's hand, and you're going to see that the successes aren't chance. They came from the man upstairs. And if we'd stop blaming him for the bad and stop and think, maybe it's his way of showing that he loves us, his way of reproving us, of disciplining us, of chastening us, or testing us, or some other reason. So if we would give him more credit for the good and more indulgence for the bad, If we'd stop hitting the rock those 2 times and start talking to it, boy, will we be better off, and God up in heaven will be smiling down